streaming, and okay, my voice is on the low end of the yellow zone, high end of the green. I might
Green.
even,
Green.
yeah,
Get
haha.
it?
I might even have to increase my stuff a
I
little
also
bit.
appreciate that we both realized that at the same time.
Yep.
It's a green.
So we're here. I don't know what I'm doing, as I often do not. Here with John and RA. How are you guys doing? Again.
I'm doing pretty good, I think.
It is a sleepy Sunday afternoon in America.
It really is.
Except I worked for 2 hours this morning, so I don't get to be sleepy.
Oh yeah, no, I had to work half a day yesterday, and my rage will never be sated.
You do sound so angry.
Green. Green. That's a very Mediterranean outlook.
It is.
So you're worried.
I think the Mediterraneans might be my people.
Billions must suffer.
Yeah, I worked 0.2 minutes longer than my 40 hours this week.
I pay my taxes. I put in my 15 hours this week. You know?
Yeah, exactly. I shouldn't. You know what?
I'm
I'm
not saying you worked 15 hours this week. I'm just talking more about like the Mediterranean stereotype of siestas and obviously paying taxes, very high taxes. Well, actually, no. Officially high taxes, but everyone cheats on their taxes. So no one actually is paying.
Well, I mean, I'm sure people in America cheat on their taxes too. It's just the rest of us.
It's actually, I don't know about you, John, but I respect what George Washington had to say about taxes when he was crossing the Jersey River. Delaware, sorry, not the Jersey River. He was crossing the Delaware. But actually, he riled up the troops by talking about how important it was to pay your federal income tax.
Yeah, really be like that. My position on work and everything is this. Me enjoying my weekend is the most important thing on the world, and everyone else needs to just learn to be okay with that.
Yeah, but you also had Monday and Tuesday off, so you had a 4-day.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean the next weekend has to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, technically yes, is in the sense that like if Christmas Day fell on a Monday, right? I would not expect that I would need to work Saturday to make up for Christmas Day.
Yeah, that's the point of a holiday, is you get time off. If I get a holiday, don't make me make up the holiday later, because then that means I didn't get a holiday.
Yeah,
in my line of work, that's just kind of how it goes.
They probably just should have had you work Monday and just left it at that.
Yeah,
because there were a lot of places open Monday. It was just weird timing with where 4th of July fell.
Yeah, this is the first year I've just heard where people get 2 days off for the 4th of July.
Well, you got pre-Independence Day, and you got Independence Day. You've got to rage basically.
Rage against independence.
No. Rage is in a.
No, I'm just.
Like a. What's it? You got a tailgate. Monday.
Oh yeah, tailgating
for Tuesday. You got to just go to a random strip mall parking lot, bring out the barbecue out of the back of your pickup truck, tailgate for America in the strip mall parking lot, and prepare for the big deal Tuesday, which is Independence Day in a strip mall parking lot. Because nothing emphasizes America's might more than a strip mall in Evansville, Indiana.
Yes. You know, there was a time going to a strip mall was actually an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, it's
what the 80s?
That was like no, the 90s.
Yeah, 90s, even the 2000s to some 90s. Extent.
Somewhat early War on Terror, era. Because I'm starting to feel more and more nostalgic for War on Terror years. I know that sounds horrible, but I don't mean the wars themselves.
Not the war itself, just the culture around that time. Yeah.
Maybe the wars themselves too. But
yeah, when we actually had this unified lie about who the bad guys were, and we could all believe it instead of hating our fellow countrymen for being 10 times worse.
It was a comforting lie, though.
It was.
Yeah. Well, it's always
we're just going to hunt down any person in the world that doesn't like America.
Exactly. Turns out
whether they actually did anything against America is irrelevant. They didn't like it. It's a thought crime. So, but yeah, the war on terror is in like 2003 to 2008, before the financial crisis. That was quasi 90s kind of, where we were still actually a country to some extent.
Yeah, where you actually, even if you didn't have to care where the political beliefs of your opponent or your friends were.
Yeah, and the bubble hadn't totally popped yet. At least in bubble, not just like real bubble in terms of financial market, but more of just like, oh, this country's actually, maybe it's not going to last forever, type of thing. I don't think. Well, I think if anyone was thinking that in the war on terror, it was the thought that we would literally be invaded by terrorists.
Yeah.
That was a concern about America ending, as ridiculous as that was.
Yeah. Now the concern's more internal.
Like, oh, it would just collapse from within. Oh, good.
Well, when you realize how infeasible invading our country is, when our two, geographically close quote unquote allied countries.
Yeah, it's literally impossible.
They would never have the army feasible to invade us, and everyone else would have to come by air and sea, and you're fucked by that point.
You could literally get rid of the entire United States military minus its nukes, and we would still never get invaded ever.
You could maybe get rid of everything but the citizens with guns, and it would still be hard for most
if you really
armies.
Wanted to roll the dice.
People do not understand how significant the Second Amendment is.
Yeah, no, but if the purpose of the military was literally just national defense, you could just write it all off basically, and go, yeah. I mean, there really is nothing to defend because we're already defended automatically between our geographic location, nuclear weapons, and our heavily armed fanatical citizenry. So it's just like, yeah, guys, I think we can just save the $750 billion and cure cancer or something. I don't know. Like, what do you guys want to do?
Yeah, it gets exhausting.
Cure cancer? No.
It gets exhausting how long the lies can go. And the weird part is, the lies progress past the point.
They just replace them with different ones. So
they hit a point where anyone with a passing interest in reality knows that it's not true. There are very few people that wouldn't obviously be making shit up as they talked that you could talk to and have them really explain it. The weird thing is how the lie is so impervious to even people knowing it's a lie. That's where it really gets hopeless, is the realization, oh, everyone can know it's not true, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, at a certain point, you just realize the futility of caring.
Yeah, past a certain point, you're just like, yeah, actually might as well just watch anime.
Yeah, exactly. And play FTL, which is, I needed a visual. Turns out there's also a bordered mode, which is convenient for GIFs, so I'm going to just do this forever now.
Damn.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's past a certain point you just realize, we're always just going to be fighting someone. So, it really doesn't matter who or what that is.
Yeah, might as well be ourselves.
The need for people to have a villain is going to be met somehow.
Yeah,
so
it's astonishing.
You can either make that somebody that's not a fellow citizen, or you can hate your fellow countrymen.
Yeah, it's astonishingly convenient how basically the de facto end of the war on terror just immediately dovetailed with a new Cold War. So, actually, a Cold War that's even hotter than the previous one. Yeah, that was convenient. So now it's it's just kind of strange too, because if you look at Twitter discourse and whatnot, how Muslims went from the war on terror view in the U.S. of they're going to invade us all and kill us all, and then it's now switched to they're actually based and red pilled
Because you can have 5 wives in
because, yeah, because
hey, no, you're only allowed 4.
Well, I know, I'm being hyperbolic.
Because they hate liberals too, and it's just like wow, we kind of spun pretty. That's a pretty quick turnaround of like at least here in the United States, like they're going to literally kill us all and turn this into a caliphate versus like wow, they're actually like in terms of like social views, we're like we're actually like pretty we've got some shared interests here. It's like let's work this out. Let's create a united front. It's just like I'm just gonna watch anime.
It was really funny a few weeks ago when that little town in I think Minnesota that became majority Muslim banned the pride flag.
Yeah, not to get like exceedingly political here, but it's like you still see vestiges of that old view, like War on Terror view, like a little bit where there still is like the anti-immigration like view and rhetoric there to some extent, but it's like as soon as they do something to anti-woke, basically it's like what, I can roll with this. Yeah, I mean there's obviously like hypocrisy on the left side as well, where it's you're supposed to welcome where you're supposed to welcome immigrants en masse from anywhere in the world, and then they arrive here and they're actually not anywhere close aligned to your social views and start actively working against your causes, type of thing. So it's like it's not like it's not like the right here has a monopoly here on hypocrisy and stupidity here, but
yeah, I think my favorite is the like retroactive angeling of President Bush in the minds of the average liberal.
Yeah. That's a weird one.
It's like, do you guys not remember hating this man's guts intensely for like 10 years straight?
Yeah, I mean, you could also argue they have right to hate him even more now because it's just like the war in Afghanistan. We literally lost. So, I mean, the enemy that we directly fought and disposed literally came back and took over the country. It's a complete L. There's no silver lining here at all. It's not like they took half the country and it's like West and East Afghanistan. No, it's literally just Taliban Afghanistan.
There was a silver lining that you're forgetting. The silver lining is it was really, really funny.
It was a little experiment. You got to take risks sometimes, and sometimes those risks pay off. Sometimes they don't. We just happen to have the risk of gambling 20 years on a social experiment in the least developed country in the world.
Yeah, that was a funny thing that people kept pointing out, saying even among the Islamic countries, Afghanistan is the crazy outlier where it legitimately is like not even the Middle Ages in places. Like if you had to pick one country to not do this in, it probably would be Afghanistan.
Yeah, I actually have I've never talked with this guy personally, but the CEO of my company has a close friend who worked as a social worker in Afghanistan for years.
Oh.
And he had a pretty stark assessment of what Afghanistan is like, and he obviously went there like he wasn't like a weapons contractor. Okay, like he was literally like there to help. And he's just like it is the Middle Ages, man. Like that's what it is.
Yeah.
And you have to rapidly orient yourself to that. It's literally like the Middle Ages with AKs in it.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people understand how well off we are in America, even in the shitty places of America. Like, you're still 15 minutes from a Walmart and a gas station almost anywhere in the country.
Yeah, but I should be near 2 Walmarts. I had to drive 25 minutes yesterday to get to a Target. Do you think that's acceptable?
Did either of you guys see my amazing image I just dropped?
I'm about to look at it here.
No.
I have seen that one. I've seen that one before.
The thing that makes this great is out of all of these people, It
Trump
is
is the least.
well,
Trump is the least. Is the least. At
He's the
least
only
when it comes to
president.
foreign policy, is
He's the only
least
president
guilty
that
of
tried to get us
mess.
out of wars in the last like 40 years.
I mean, there was a version of this where Trump had the angel halo that I passed
Well, I'm
over.
sure there is probably one for every president because why not?
And even, by the way, like, it's not even saying that like Trump had a perfect track record here at all.
Oh
He's
fuck
just
no!
like
Trump
he's
was
just
bad
the
at everything.
Yeah, he's just the least egregious of all the ones here.
No, that's the real damning thing about it is it's just it's the least bad out of all the presidents we've had in my lifetime.
Because I don't know how much like people actually forget it, but like, you know, he did just straight up assassinate a foreign states general, like openly, not even like covertly, and that did actually risk like a larger regional war starting. Even if everything we say about that guy was actually genuinely true, that like, you know, that he was actually like, you know, complicit basically in the killings of U.S. soldiers in Iraq during the second of 3 wars we've had there. So it's like, it's not like, you know, it's not like we probably like, you know, took out like a completely innocent guy, but we literally drone striked him, and then the president posted a slightly pixelated version of the American flag on Twitter. Right after. And it's just like,
yes, but he does that because it works.
yeah, I mean, it's like, so the interesting political theory around it is the reason why that was like, even though that was like, you know, you get illegal and like, because it was illegal, that you literally just can't do that. Like, not that anyone cares about international law anymore, but in theory, right, you just can't do what you just did. But what part it interesting from like a, you know, political theory perspective is the reason why it was so risky but also paid off and was so effective is like the Mad Dog theory. It's just like you're dealing with a political leader of the most powerful country in the world who you actually just don't know what the fuck he's going to do.
Yeah, well, no, that's
like,
exactly why he behaved the way he did.
Be really careful because he just might actually just did something this crazy, and like an escalatory. He might actually just start.
Yeah, and that's exactly why Putin waited until he wasn't in office anymore. To put us in the complete shit show that we're in now.
I'm skeptical of the idea that Trump was a major threat to Putin. I mean, we're even finding out now that Putin was maybe not the most on top of shit.
I don't even know if it so much matters whether he's like so much on top of shit or not. It's just like if your military is just like broken and worn down from like 30 years of decay since the end of the Soviet Union.
Yeah, all these, it's just funny because you listen to all these people doomsay.
You can pump a bunch of corruption oil money into it to buy some new equipment, but at the end of the day, it's like still this like archaic, decaying, like decrepit corpse basically of like what the Soviet Union deployed in like Afghanistan in the 80s. Like there's only, you know, you can't actually fight the war for them, right? Past a certain point. Like you can have all the right ideas, you can have all the right strategic decisions, but at the end of the day, they're the ones who have to actually fight it. And if it's just not ready to go, it's just like, it's just not like, I mean, I don't know what to say. It's like, I'm not saying that like that's necessarily like good strategic decisions were made or incorrect assessments were made, but it's also like, guys, we also have to remember that like intelligence assessments towards the end of the Afghanistan war said that like Kabul would hold out for at least 6 to 12 months without U.S. support, and it fell in like a month. So it's just like, that's like our best, apparently like our best.
It's like going back to Hangar 18 by Megadeth.
Yeah.
Military intelligence, 2 words combined that can't make sense.
Yes, it's an oxymoron, but I have no respect for military intelligence. I'm just saying that like if your top guys are apparently making this assessment, as ill-advised as it may be, about the country that you've been inhabiting and propping up for 20 years, and it completely misses the mark, it's just like, then, yeah, I can imagine like Putin would miss the mark in some strategic decisions in terms of what he was doing in Russia and Ukraine. So, to some extent, you are at the mercy of your bureaucrats, and they usually fail. So,
no, I think that's the the remarkable thing about the U.S. is that we're not any less corrupt than any other country, but somehow we keep our shit together better than everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was Tinkzorg on Twitter had a funny comment, and Tinkzorg has been on a spree of shitty takes for like at least 6 months now. But
yeah, a lot of shitheads on Twitter are on seem to have eaten something bad.
the unfortunate thing with Tinkzorg is Tinkzorg will have really good essays that he makes and really good takes, but then he just gets wrapped around an axle of his own fucking stupidity. And I recommended him to a bunch of people right before he was on like a 6 month streak of nothing but bad ideas. But one thing that he loves to tweet about that I enjoy is America still has the mandate of heaven. You know, we keep making mistakes and God keeps preventing the consequences from hurting us.
You are not wrong. Like it is, we should. I think the thing is, we're bad, but everybody's worse. Everybody else is worse.
Well, I mean, and I think just the simplest example in the world of that is, and like, so obviously the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan and essentially, lost the war, obviously, and then collapsed shortly thereafter. And it's like, we did a 20-year war there, way longer than they did. Same outcome, basically. And, obviously, like, time will tell. It wasn't that long ago that we left, but like, it's basically just forgotten at this point. It's just like, it's literally something that you can just write off. Like the Soviet Union couldn't write that off. Right? We can. It's just like, oh yeah, we fought a 20-year failed war on the complete opposite end of the world. And it's just like, yeah, the regime is not at any risk of collapsing, at least directly due to that. Right? There's no accountability. No one is getting replaced. No one is getting elected out of office or bureaucrat replaced due to the failures there, at least not that I'm aware of, generally speaking, or just maybe a reshuffling of paperwork to put them in another department. And it's just like, yeah, and it's just like, it's literally just business as usual in America.
I do feel like there is a limit, though.
That's just how, like, stupidly powerful we are.
It has to end sometime, right? It can't just keep going forever and ever.
I mean,
it can't go on forever, but it's just like, what other country could ever even think of doing that?
Yeah, it's true. The thing that does weird me out is it feels like it takes so long. Like, people have known about all these problems for so long. Like, people have literally been complaining about a lot of the shit going on since the 60s, pointing out, oh, this isn't going to work, this isn't going to work, this isn't going to work. And it keeps failing, but it takes so long for the consequences to actually show up.
Mm-hmm.
It just gets surreal how long it takes. Like, one thing that strikes me is, the recruitment crisis, how recruiting is getting worse. It's like, it takes people a long time to accept that recruiting into the military is a really, really bad idea after, watching failed wars and all that. But it seems like people are barely starting to adjust to that idea now. But wars have been a disaster in this country for like at least 60 years. Like, when is the last war where the troops were not horribly abused and it ended up being a complete clusterfuck? I mean, really Desert Storm.
Yeah,
I was expecting you to say Desert Storm, where it actually made sense. It served American interests. It was relatively clean. And then I guess there's a few other little side operations you could bring up, but in the fucking 80s, why were people not more skeptical of this? I guess patriotism is just an inherent thing of a certain type of person.
Yeah,
like, it just never goes away.
I mean, that was part of it, for sure.
There was a lot of weird military shit going on in the 80s, too. It's like you got the Iran-Contra affair, right? You've got the invasion. I think Grenada was the 80s. We invaded Grenada.
I want to say it was, although I don't know much about it.
Panama as well, too. As well, so you've got us basically like invading two small Latin American countries in the same decade, like full-blown invasion, right? This is not like, dropping a few bombs and type of thing. It's like those full-blown military operations here. And then with the Iran-Contra affair of basically selling weapons to the Iranians to fund, again, Latin America, to fund Latin American rebels, basically. Which, by the way, did not have the best human rights record. Not the worst, but not the best either. Type of thing, and then all falling on a certain general rather than the actual president, even though the president obviously, whatever. Teflon Reagan.
Look, you gotta have a fall guy.
So yeah, Ollie North, General Ollie North was the fall guy.
Who became a folk hero just for being the fall guy.
Just for being the fall guy. So, hey, I mean, in fairness, right? We don't even have fall guys anymore.
No, so, we just blame the person who's not even in office anymore.
Well, we don't need fall guys because the idea that
literally the fall guy for the failure in Afghanistan is just Trump.
Yeah, actually, retroactively, Trump has become the source of all of America's problems.
Yeah, the closest thing. It's like, yeah, even though he was the third administration that basically had the war and actually put a stop to it.
Yeah, where he
their overall. So, yeah, it's the 70s obviously were the tail end of the Vietnam War. Obviously, and the failures there, which obviously have parallels to some extent to Afghanistan as well. Yeah, it's just like, you basically get not that the invasions of Grenada and Panama weren't successful, they objectively were, but like our record since Desert Storm is not great. Put it that way.
Delta Storm.
Sounds
like Delta a super Green. Move in a video game or something.
The funny thing about a fall guy, though, is you don't need a fall guy if there's no assumption that things might work out anyway.
Yeah, the hypothetical of an alternate reality where this thing didn't happen is always a fun discussion.
Well, I mean, basically, like, you don't need a fall guy if no one's demanding accountability. You don't. Like, yeah, there were people being like, yeah, obviously you'd have Tucker Carlson come on primetime TV and go like, this invasion, this retreat is a disaster. Like, it's an embarrassment, which it was, right? Don't get me wrong.
It was pretty bad.
It was pretty bad, but there's no like public outpouring of support for accountability. Like, no one is going to the streets demanding like top generals or bureaucrats resign due to the failure there. There's no rising gas prices due to the failures in Afghanistan. Like, I mean, there's inflation, but it has like basically nothing to do with Afghanistan or anything else happening there. Like, it's like a total side issue. It's just like it's just normal finger pointing bickering, but there's no like trial. There's no like whether in the court or in the court of public opinion of like we need to take a close look at like X agency and their shitty intelligence assessments, and we need to demand resignations. Basically, like, none of that happened. No top generals are gone. It's all just the same. It's just literally just business as usual with like a little bit more bickering. So there's no need for a fall guy, really. Nothing at least of the sort of like the Iran-Contra affair.
Right.
Real quick, hello Danger, and I have no idea what After Yang is. Is that a movie? Okay. Yeah, life is silly. I'm always mystified by this aspect of American culture. We seem to delight in the total absence of accountability.
I don't know if it's so much delight as in like it just doesn't happen.
Well, and yeah, it's like the lack of accountability is kind of what keeps the system working.
Well, I mean, it's literally what keeps it working.
Well, okay, yeah. I say kind of because it's just not something you would immediately attribute.
Yeah, and there's something of a point to that too. It's like, you'll see a lot of like, shitty policy think tank people being like, the failures of the Russian army making advances in Ukraine is going to come. The chickens are going to come home to roost, and the people are going to get tired of it, and they're going to have a revolution and overthrow. It's just like,
we don't really do revolutions anymore.
I'm not going to say the Ukraine invasion isn't a bigger blunder than Afghanistan. It is. Okay, way more people have died than we ever lost in Afghanistan, or even etc. Like whatever. But it's like, I don't know if there's going to be like a public. I don't know enough about like Russian politics currently, or like what type of like reckoning there's really going to fucking be. But there's no reckoning here. That's never going to happen. So And you can literally have, and granted, again, the price paid by Russia and Ukraine is much higher than ours, probably even in the war on terror, at least in terms of blood. But it's like, we literally, our track record in the 21st century is we've got to stop Saddam because he has nukes. Oh, crap, he actually doesn't have nukes. But we got to change the country. And then we left, and then we reinvaded it. Because the institutions and army we left behind were so weak that they couldn't deal with literally a bunch of people with RPGs and AKs to defend their own country. So that is our track record in Iraq. And then obviously all of Afghanistan is just a complete failure from start to finish. The Taliban weren't even responsible for 9/11. I think we all kind of knew that at first. But we're kind of like, yeah, they're responsible enough. So
well, people on the street would just get mad when you said something.
Let's remake the country in our image. Let's take the least developed country in the world that is the most culturally opposed to the United States. Let's give it a shot. It's like we're going for legendary difficulty here, guys. In terms of nation building, it's Halo 2, literally legendary.
There are jackal snipers everywhere.
There are jackal snipers everywhere.
There was an amazing article interviewing troops that had been part of the attempt to, reach the local Afghans, and amazing story where someone would go up to farmers and try to explain voting to them, and they realized the farmers did not know what a government was. Not they didn't know about the Afghani government, they did not know what a government was. Like, that's how isolated some of the people that they met were.
Yeah, they understand like the concepts of like authority, of like a leader, but in terms of it being like a formal government, they've literally never lived under something like that, unless it's like Alexander the Great's empire, basically from thousands of years ago, and even then they probably weren't even like directly governed in any way. From that. They understand the concept of like someone being in charge, someone you would go to like arbitrate a dispute or something. But in terms of that being like part of the fabric of their life, or like some type of like formal system where it's like someone's issuing licenses, someone's issuing land grants, someone's like actually an actual court, right? And like someone's like taxing you and things. It's like, no, they've never experienced that, or at least haven't experienced it for thousands of years.
That's fucked up.
Kind of rocks at the same time.
Yeah, a lot of people here want something like that.
I would at least assume that, I would at least assume if they didn't know what a government was, they probably are not getting taxed. So
yeah, that's probably a good assumption.
There probably is not a 25% income tax in their area. So
their concept of a government is just the guy on the road that robs them sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of probably is, to be honest, because, by the way, this might be a real shock to you. The Afghan national government was not very honest or well administrated. Where basically, like, it was, for a lot of people that did actually have some interaction with the government, it basically boiled down to like who do you bribe, right? Or who bribes you less, basically, like, because obviously like the regional government, official regional government would be ridiculously corrupt. You have to pay bribes and things like that, and then you basically would have the Taliban, where it's there was threat of force, but either much smaller bribes, but basically none at all. In exchange for like basic justice. A basic justice system involved in basic administration actually happening under the table.
I knew a correctional sergeant at a maximum security prison where, when we were training in Afghanistan, all facets of Afghani society, America was, sending people there trying to, I mean, this, but for the benefit of danger here. All facets of American society were sending trained people over to try to teach the locals how to run a modern system. And this correctional sergeant was part of a team training their prison guards and teaching them how to run modern prisons. Because, as you can imagine, Afghan prisons were not particularly good or well ran.
Yeah.
But
You're telling me shocking information here.
no. Funny thing is, I actually knew another guy who did the same thing for a private company in Mississippi, and I honestly couldn't tell you which prison was worse based on the stories they told. But
yeah, something about humans' rights violations and prison seem to mix really well.
Yeah, it really does. They keep making too many more new rights, though. That's why it's so complicated. Just stick with the core ones, like you can't torture someone for too long. Like the ancient,
Whoa.
like in ancient Japan.
It's right there. It's right there in the in the Bill of Rights. Don't torture people for too long.
Yeah, every right in the Bill of Rights, there's, if you look really closely, there's a parentheses after it that says to excess.
Yeah.
Just don't do it too much, you know?
Yeah, and also just like how in the Bible it says if you're generally a nice person, that's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly. But he would tell stories. He got there. I don't know if you guys know much about prisons, but prisons run on this weird ritual called count, where several times a day an alarm will go off, everyone goes to exactly where they're supposed to be, and every prisoner is counted on pieces of paper with people looking at their faces and verifying who they are. And those are all sent to the center, and nothing happens until count is verified and they know that everyone is there. And in modern prisons, count generally happens like 5 times a day. It's very common. When this sergeant went to Afghanistan, he asked them, "How often do you do count?" And they said, "Every 2 weeks." And when he said, "Oh, we do it 5 times a day," they were shocked. And then he said, "Well, how do you know that everyone at the prison is actually here?" And the warden just got in his face and started yelling and puffing out his chest, saying, "I know how many people are in my prison. How dare you imply I might not know how many people are in my prison?" And the sergeant said, "Okay, let's just do count right now then, to check." And there were like 20 people missing. And what they found out is basically every prisoner had some goofy relationship with a guard or a local bureaucrat where they were either not actually in prison, or they were allowed to go out at certain times, or they were just being pulled out to do the chores of the person who happened to have the key. So they were only doing count every few weeks because everyone in the prison was in some under-the-table deal with somebody outside the prison. And it was just a formality. Okay, a couple times a month, we'll get everyone here at once, pretend we're still here, then it's right back to mowing the warden's lawn.
Yeah, it's like the town drunk on the Andy Griffith show that would just check himself into jail.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like you'd occasionally read about in the news about like a Taliban prison break. Prison break?
Yeah, prison break?
Like this is some coordinated raid or like an internal like uprising or something, bro.
They're like, no, that was just Tuesday.
They're coming back later.
Yeah, just wait.
They're just on leave, you know. They're just like taking a break.
Your prison honor system. Trust me, it works.
Your prison sentence is really more of a curfew.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
as long as you're back by 8.
That was a funny story though, because it made me realize, oh, this really is a traditional society where everything is based on personal relationships, and the idea of abstract systems and rules, it doesn't seem to even occur to them as something that might actually exist.
Yeah, I mean...
I've never been there. I haven't known Afghans. Although every troop or person I know who went over there and came back said, yeah, I don't think this is going to work. They're not bad people, but I don't think they're going to run an American-style government.
Yeah,
no, like, you have to have... You know,
what's interesting as well, it's like you can literally have everyone involved basically saying that, but the official policy never changes.
Yeah. No, because we can't acknowledge that different cultures are different.
No.
No, we can. It's weird because America lives in this post-apocalyptic world where countries like America have destroyed most of the world cultures. So when they encounter a little pocket of people that actually have retained some identity and folk ways from the past.
One culture that doesn't eat hot chip, eat McDonald's and lie.
And lie, twerk. They don't twerk in Afghanistan, I hope.
Nope, that's a death sentence.
Yeah, I was about to make that joke, Devin.
No.
Except you're probably not joking.
I mean, no, probably not. Anyway, sorry. I just wanted to throw in the eat hot chip and lie for a moment. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. Yeah, it's just strange. I mean, the only cultures that have really retained a degree of serious cultural continuity and while not being completely swallowed up by the West or being technological laggards, it really is just Japan. And I guess to some weird extent, China's kind of creeping up there.
I would strongly disagree. I'm not saying they haven't retained like some element of cultural distinctness, but like, I mean, if you just look at like Meiji era Japan versus how it is now, like, I know, I guess like I used to feel the way that you do more, but it does actually just feel like it literally is just like an outlet mall of the United States. Not in terms of all the social norms, but like
No, but it's basically just like if an Eastern country had become the United States in a lot of respects.
Yeah, it's just like it's completely industrialized. Like it's like all the American brands and fast food chains are there. Like the marriage norms are basically American marriage norms now. Like, yeah, I'm not saying there aren't elements that are like distinct, but it's just like very low immigration, like very low crime, like there's no guns basically at all either. But it does kind of feel like, you know, it does kind of feel like a defeated country, isn't it? It's just like it was just something else. It was taken over. We set up shop there for a while and then we left. But it's still in like the cornucopia of friends that is the American Empire, right? And it's just kind of the U.S. like a little bit. And it's not really its own distinct thing anymore. Same with South Korea. Like, you know, it's not a wholly unnavigable, like besides the language barrier, it's not this wholly unnavigable like I'm in Madagascar, I don't know what the fuck is going on, like type of thing here. Like or Papua New Guinea. It's, I don't know. That's just my opinion. I've never been there, so I can't truly speak to it. It is a little bit of a weird hybrid. But it's still, I think it leans more towards America at this point than it did before. So,
I don't know. Do you think if the American Empire pulls back, countries will become more distinct again?
I don't know.
I don't know. I think it's hard to undo the damage, to be honest.
I mean, it gets exhausting that everything is just slowly decaying into like the same big pool of gelatin.
One love. One life.
Yeah, fucking exactly.
Thanks, Bob Marley. You globalist.
I mean, there were probably lots of times that people felt like this. If you lived during,
I'm kidding. I like Bob Marley.
You know, if you
wasn't
lived
exactly what he was referring to either.
But if you lived during Hellenistic Mediterranean times after Alexander's empires, you probably felt the same thing. You probably felt an extreme sense of despair of all the cultures that have, you know, collapsed and died around you, and everything is just this imitation of Greek culture where it's nothing but.
Would you? I think you probably would be glad that the other inferior cultures were getting paved over.
To be honest, I mean, at some point.
Well, because the average person had a lesser understanding of the entirety of the world.
Oh, of course.
At that point, so it's
kind
of hard to say.
Maybe if you were an educated person who got around a bit, you would have felt that way. I bet Herodotus would have felt that way.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, there probably were some people that like recognize the value somewhat of those in terms of the and some of the negative consequences of a global melting pot. But I mean, considering how par for the course, just completely running over other cultures and civilizations was to incorporate them in your own was at those times, and that was just like a natural byproduct of civilization, was just crushing other ones. I don't know how badly they would have felt about it. We're all Greeks, we're all Romans, right? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Hear that, Gaul? Stop struggling.
You know, even Alexander, You know, he fell into despair when he realized there might not be any more of the world left to conquer.
Until we
Because he
told
didn't
him,
set
hey
his sights
man,
on
there's
space
this
like a
thing,
pussy.
there's this thing called outer space. Oh, you're too dumb to build a rocket.
Oh, that's why I'm playing FTL right now.
There's going to be some smug asshole in the future called Elon Musk, though, who is going to build a rocket.
And he's also going to put a car in space.
Yeah, he doesn't know how to fight. Yeah, he has a pot belly. But you know what? He can go farther than you can. Or he can hire and delegate people to go farther than you can.
And he can also steal somebody else's memes better than you can.
That's right. Yeah, he actually has a sense of humor. He's so
Honestly,
cool.
I think 90% of Elon's success is that he has a sense of humor.
I mean, I like that he has a sense of humor. It is kind of cringe, like sense.
Oh, it's extremely cringe, but at least he has one, unlike every other tech mogul ever that has ever existed.
A lot of it does give off vibes. How do you do, fellow kids?
Yes, you are not wrong.
Type, which is like, again, better than nothing. At the same time, I kind of don't want there to be a rate limit. So can you just shut the fuck up and fix it, please?
And give me my classic tweet deck back, please.
Or just start calling people and yelling, please, instead of posting memes about it.
It was
like, yeah.
It was so fucked up because
I think that was a case where like everyone across the whole political spectrum came and go like, "You done fucked up, Elon. We all hate you now."
we do. It was
it's
pretty.
Like, we won't forget this.
It was pretty fucked up.
Forget this slide.
Stained Haynes, for whatever reason, I don't even know this time, but he was mass report or something, and he lost his original account yet again, something that's happened many, many times. And there was a little, almost mini campaign where a fuckload of pretty big accounts were retweeting pleas to Elon to get Haynes' account back. And Elon saw it, and he just responded saying, "Bye, Twitter Blue."
Yeah, dude, he doesn't give a shit, man.
It's kind of an asshole move.
Yeah, well, and when he bought the platform, he said he was going to try to reinstate old accounts, and that just turned into, oh, hey, like 15 really large accounts that were unjustly banned have been reinstated. Okay, I did my part. Thanks, guys.
That was cool. We got Bowser back.
So it's like one step up from Tuxedo Mask to that point.
Yeah.
I will say it does seem like censorship and stuff has been better since Elon, although
it's being applied at least even-handedly now, right? So
we got community notes, which is the greatest thing in the history of the earth.
I will say community notes has been, I think, a net positive.
It's just people getting corn-cobbed endlessly every time they open their mouth.
But it's like, but it's also like, I mean, and then what are kind of like the chaotic neutral things? It's like probably view count.
I don't hate
it's a little
count.
distracting. It's not bad, but it's not good. It doesn't like improve the experience at all.
No, I mean all it really does is help you better understand what constitutes a ratio.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
that's like 50,000 people looked at it and only 2 people liked it. Kotaku, your account fucking sucks.
It also makes the people who cheat with bots anything.
Yeah.
Community notes are instead of flagging things for censorship like they were doing, where the mods of Twitter would do stuff like put this has COVID information in it. They did something called community notes, where if someone is being dishonest, just random Twitter users can put more information under the tweet.
You still have to be a member of the community notes team, but anybody can be. You just have to like apply and get approved.
They massively expanded the amount of people that can call out misinformation and stuff, and this has resulted in a lot of very snide shitheads who get away with lying a lot, having big paragraphs under their tweets just explaining that they're completely full of crap with links and stuff.
Which is great.
It's kind of annoying. It's a bit of a hall modder thing, but compared to what it was a while ago, it's better.
It is, but you also have to consider that there has to be like almost near unanimous agreement between all the people in community notes before a note gets actually posted to the site.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. One thing that was funny is showing bookmarks. It caused some accidental humor just because of all the things you saw getting bookmarked that maybe shouldn't get bookmarked. There was an artist I follow who, as a joke, I don't know, or maybe she's just being an e-thought, but she just posted a selfie of her thighs, like taking her phone, pointing down while she's drawing, and posted her thighs. And then 5 hours later, she went back and it's like 150 bookmarks.
Yeah, just knowing people are saving that to look at it later would be kind of creepy.
Yeah, it's funny, but we shouldn't just talk about Twitter. You know, Twitter is the hell site. I don't know if I will ever have it in me to leave.
No, maybe not leave fully, but I've certainly been on it a lot less since I can't use TweetDeck right now.
Yeah, that's
and the modern
true.
version of TweetDeck sucks, so I'm not going to use it. Elon can suck my nuts on that one.
Yeah, you're goddamn right.
I just do find it funny that it did okay. Like we can all like for months you've had the shit libs basically complaining about that Twitter's now owned by a fascist and it doesn't run properly anymore and it's being overtaken by deranged right wingers and now anyone can have a check mark now, which means misinformation is just just running rampant. And that's and then obviously the opposite side, Twitter's fine, you're just totally overblowing it. It's yeah, the user experience is not amazing, but it's mostly functional and things are mostly fine most of the time. And then this rate limit thing is okay, fuck this guy.
Yeah, which may or may not have been Elon's fault.
Because you pissed off the right wing grifters enough already with not being able to link to your Substack in your bio.
Yeah, just the whole you will use Twitter and no other website attitude he had for a while was ridiculous.
That was the first straw, and then when you put the rate limit, it's okay, we all agree this guy sucks.
Yeah, I still have hope for Elon. I think he might pull it off.
No, I do think Twitter's changes have been in the general on the right, going in the right direction. I mean,
on the right, you say?
Yeah, no. Anything remotely balanced is going to look like a rightward shift after what Twitter was going through.
I think anything not heavily moderated almost becomes right wing by default. That's
only
a common
because
opinion.
of where culture is right now.
I think it's also just inherent to left wing.
I mean, we had Satanic Panic in the '80s for a reason too. Or I guess '90s.
Yeah, actually, I'm starting to believe more and more that actually was pretty well founded.
Maybe so. To be fair,
it was somewhat delayed. As in, okay, yeah, it was definitely overblown at the time.
No, it's okay, guys, can we? We're gonna wait for 30 years before we actually start openly talking about this stuff. Can everybody wait that long? Okay.
I mean, that is my instinct as well, because so many times you hear people talk about, oh, that old, out-group talking point that this happens instead of this. We all know that's a crock of shit. Then every time they talk that way, you look it up and find, even if it's not completely true, there is a lot to it. It has gotten to the point where whenever I hear someone talk like that, I just assume it's real. Maybe that's not healthy, but...
Oh yeah, that's totally real.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of an example. You can probably think of one.
I mean, I don't know. I think what pissed me off the most about the rate limit thing was Elon was still joking about the interface.
It's just one of those times where he didn't read the room properly.
Your product is just totally fucking broken at the moment. It's there might even be, if you dig far enough, a good reason for it. As in, AI bots literally are just scraping the fucking site, and you need to shut down operations for 24 hours. But you didn't give a time limit for it, number one, and then you're just joking about it the whole time. It's just oh, it's your electric car bricked itself, lol. Lol. Sorry, we're shutting down your electric car for 24 hours while we work on a software update. Lol. Let's just keep joking about how inconvenient it's yeah, okay, I understand. It's Twitter. It's it doesn't matter. It's a piece of shit app that just wastes your time and it just collects your data for you and sells it to other people. I understand all that. This is not a heart defibrillator, okay? But it's still your product and it's still fucking annoying.
Right. Well, and it's also just people live on social media now. You're taking a venue of their life away from them.
Yeah.
And then not giving them a good reason about it.
And again, it's horrible that it came to this point. We live in a horrible place, right?
Right. I mean, we do, but also we wouldn't be friends without it. So
at the end of the day, it is your product. You are the face of it. You are the owner of it. You are ultimately somewhat responsible for it. No matter who you delegate this to, just literally say, hey, here's the situation. It will be like this for 24 hours. I understand it's a deep inconvenience, but we feel that this is what it needs to be done to like improve your experience, and let's like, and then just shut up about it, and just don't joke about it.
Yeah, I think his problem is that's how he's handling this exactly the way he handled all of the criticism about how he's a terrible person and
Yeah,
Twitter.
are you going to joke about when eventually one of your rockets blows up with people on it? Like, I mean, I obviously don't want that to happen, but like, you know, the odds would indicate that eventually there's going to be some major accident or disaster. And I'm not even singling out like SpaceX as like a bad company.
No, I mean we had the submarine thing already.
Yeah. It's just like sooner or later, just like when is it going to be a point where you do actually just shut up and let just like things get fixed instead of joking about it?
Good point. Good point. There was a very funny joke about Elon that I liked, where people said, you know, Elon Musk could never write March of the Pigs, but Trent Reznor could make a shitty car that blows up and kills people.
Wait, say that again.
They were saying Elon Musk could never write the album March of the Pigs, but Trent Reznor could make a shitty car that blows up and kills people. Which is a good point.
Yeah, I mean, people give him shit about Tesla cars, and like to some extent it is warranted, but also like I do find it also annoying that his detractors don't give him any credit at all for SpaceX.
Yeah,
SpaceX
like you don't have to suck him off to acknowledge the fact that he's done a lot.
It's like, and he creates rockets that blow up. It's like, it was a testing rocket that was literally expected to blow up.
Yeah, that's why there weren't people on it. No, they even had
It's like ridiculous early prototype. It's like the most powerful rocket ever built. They're like the goal is to collect as much data as possible before it blows up. Like it's all that's part of the test. The longer it basically keeps going before blowing up is a success. Basically, in terms of data collection, it's just like, and basically every other project that they've done has been like wildly successful. So it's just like, okay, just don't use that as like a citation. Like, yeah, Tesla build quality is crap. We know this, okay? Like, that's been well established for like 10 years that they build fucking garbage, okay? Like, we know that, but just like, but don't use SpaceX like as an example of like, because it just doesn't work.
Weren't we supposed to get hydrogen-powered cars at some point? Wasn't that supposed to happen?
Yes, Toyota developed them, and the infrastructure is just not there to support them. So it's just like the only place you could buy a hydrogen-powered car is like literally California, and there's like three stations where you can get the hydrogen for it.
Yeah, so it's not like the natural gas cars.
I hope you're fine with paying a lot of money for a car that you can only refuel at 3 places in the country.
I mean, if you lived in any European country, that's probably true too.
Yeah, so hydrogen, it's still energy intensive to create the fuel, and you obviously need the infrastructure basically for it. I mean, we don't even have the infrastructure to support electric cars, so don't expect hydrogen anytime soon.
Damn it!
Coming to a local.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the nature of hydrogen does make it hard, but it's also just that we didn't build the infrastructure.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm not writing it off entirely in the future, but it's like, there's only so much investment you can do right now in terms of like one technology versus the other, and like you need all the supporting infrastructure as well to make it work. And like electric cars, we're not even going to be able to support. So hydrogen's like a distant third here in terms of getting like a lot of like R&D money or public coordination on like resourcing for it, because we're going to fuck up electric cars as well. So
I just want a Zeppelin.
Don't get your hopes up. You just want a Zeppelin. Well,
that's all I've ever wanted.
Well, that has very bad emissions green, and your Zeppelin is literally destroying the rainforest. So you're not getting your Zeppelin.
Well, I mean, if I crash my Zeppelin into the rainforest and it explodes,
then you've done the favor for the locals of burning down the forest for them, so they can do strip farming of it, and then you've cleared the land for them for 1 year to use and exploit and destroy, and then they can move on.
All right.
But really, it's you running your generator during a blackout that's really destroying the planet. So you are the piece of shit.
I mean, I actually did have to do that, but it was just because my landlord did not pay the power bill.
Yeah.
Or more specifically, he had just put my electricity on the bill of the people renting the apartment above me, meaning they might have been paying my electricity the whole time.
Yeah. That's possible too.
My landlord
Yeah.
is a real piece of shit.
Well, many landlords are. Yeah, I just find it funny. You could live in the state of California, you pay so much federal income tax, and then also all their taxes for the state as well too, and you can't even be guaranteed like reliable access to electricity. That's just really funny to me.
It's fine. They're probably gonna use the electricity to like tweet dumb stuff on Twitter.
Hey, that's true. Or it's like, or at least like, okay, if you can't be guaranteed reliable access to electricity, it's like, okay, I can at least run my generator, right? It's like, well, no, we're banning the sale of those in the state of California in the next year. So
They always do the, they
oh
always
no,
do the
you're gonna
weirdest
pay
shit
your
like
taxes
that.
and you're gonna sit in the dark and you're gonna fucking like it.
Gee, thanks, California.
Thank you, South Africa. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Man, we should talk about
so
something
yeah.
else. We should talk about anime.
Well,
No, okay. I would never
well,
watch anime.
I don't like anime, so I don't know why we would talk about that.
Fair point.
Yeah, this is the part where if we were a successful anime podcast, we would say, "What are you watching this season?"
You're watching this season. Season? They come in
Yeah.
seasons?
Yeah.
They come in pints? They come in seasons?
Yeah, I mean, I did finish Kamikatsu, and it was just as great as I thought it would be the entire time.
Good.
That's cool.
It was perfect. It was the greatest show ever made.
Greatest show ever made was Midori Days.
Yeah, Midori Days. You know, Kamikatsu is a spiritual successor to Midori Days.
Well, it's perfect, so there's no point in creating a spiritual successor to it. So, kind of.
Well, God's perfect, and He made us.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know I don't even know, like, what is the most recently released show that I've watched, and I actually have no idea. Konosuba season 2? I'm sure I've watched something newer than that.
I mean, the movie for season that was basically season 3. That was 2018, I think.
That's true. That's true.
Man, where does the time go?
I don't know. I wasted it all. So.
No, don't do that.
Too late.
Okay.
My youth is gone, and I will die soon. Relatively speaking. I don't plan on dying in the next year or two if I can avoid it.
Just the next year or two, though.
Yeah, 2025. Wide
I guess
open.
they're remaking Rurouni Kenshin, so they're remaking Spice and Wolf. You know, it's not that we could continue the story. We have to.
Yeah, and in Spice and Wolf's case,
we have to remake.
When was season 2?
That was already made.
It was a long ass time ago, wasn't it?
I mean, it was a long time ago, but it also doesn't feel like it was so long it justifies starting over.
Right. It's like, if you're gonna remake something, remake bad things
that need a good one. Yeah.
Like
they are remaking Urusei Yatsura.
Yeah, like the best. Oh, God,
I'm sorry.
It's like you literally have a fucking anime prodigy make it, and it's like, and then you feel like you need to remake it. Like, you have the best of both worlds. You have like one of the best manga authors ever, Takahashi, and you have Mamoru Oshii, one of the best anime directors of all time, and then you put them together like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and you get Kino. Wow, who knew, right? And then you need to feel the need to remake it. No, it was good, so you don't need to do that. Yeah, and like with Spice and Wolf, it's like, yeah, like the show was good. It's like remembered as like a quasi classic, right? Why? And there's tons more to like to.
Yeah, I mean,
do.
season 1 was good enough that it got me to read all the books because I knew they didn't finish adapting it. And so instead of watching season 2, I just read all the books.
The 2's good too. It's just like, what? It's just like, imagine they just announced more Konosuba, but they're remaking it.
Yeah.
Although,
like, why?
That would be much more odd in Konosuba's case, just because it's recent. It had a recent.
Yeah, I know, but I consider like mid-2000s still pretty recent in the whole scheme of things.
I mean, I do too, but I think part of that's just being like, my mid-30s at this point.
Like, a good example of a case like deserving of a remake is like Judge Dredd, right? Like, you know, I haven't watched the original, so people can call me out on it. Where it's actually like unironically good. Okay, man, whatever. Maybe it is, but like, it's a basic. The original is basically a meme, right? And they remade it, and they made it fucking fun. I don't think it's like the best comic book movie like ever made type of thing, but like I think people generally would agree that that Dread is a good idea, is like a case of like a good remake.
I mean, they did make that Dread movie, but it wasn't really. It was kind of just like a goofy side story.
Yeah, no, like it's not remaking the original one from scratch, but it's like basically rebooting it. Yeah, you're right. It probably a reboot is probably like a better word than like remake, basically. But I think you understand my point.
Oh yeah,
it was bad. It was a bad adaptation of source material. So let's try and do something that's better or more entertaining, or whether that's true to the source material or not. Like I don't know, but like it's certainly like better made and like more entertaining type of thing. So it's like, so why wouldn't? So if there was a manga that had a really bad adaptation, right? Starting over on that, where it's like, okay, we have actually like pretty solid source material that was just botched before, so let's just try and do it right this time. That's like one thing, okay, but remaking it, I don't know, man. Like, there obviously are cases where there were cases where the first adaptation was actually pretty good, and then they went and remade it, and they made it even better. Like people say that about Full Metal Alchemist, right? They say that about Hunter x Hunter, right? I get it.
Yeah, those are probably the two bigger examples.
Although even Hunter x Hunter is tricky because a lot of people like the original adaptation, it just didn't get very far in the story too.
Yeah.
So... Yeah, and then you get other cases where it's like the new Trigun, which apparently is awful.
Yeah.
And even though the original deviated from where the manga was at a certain point, it was still well received and liked for the time.
Yeah. Yeah, like some of this shit sucks, and it should never be. And like, I don't think they're continuing Rurouni Kenshin. I think they're remaking it. That's like no.
Yeah, well, because they did. Even the manga got a reboot. Like it was finished for years.
And the anime was a long runner. The anime, I don't know if it covered the entire manga, but it went very far.
It was like 80 episodes.
Yeah, the anime covered most of it, and then I think they did a couple movies to finish.
Also,
I don't know if those ever got properly brought over here or not.
Although you don't need to watch the second half of Rurouni Kenshin show. The first, you can watch the first half, and you're going to get 95% of what you can get out of it. So, not that the second is like poorly made, but it really feels like the end of the first half really does feel like really like the finale of like not the finale because it leaves some things like, you know, his relationship with the chick is not yet resolved type of thing. It's not like there's nothing, but they didn't do anything in the second half towards that anyway. So it really just does feel like wasted time, no matter how well produced or not, or lack thereof it is. There really is like no central, it doesn't feel like there's any central goal anymore or theme. And yeah, there are some solid arcs and things like that, but like it really does feel like, you know, if you're going to end it, right, just end it on this note. It's fine. It's not fully conclusive.
No, a lot of things just don't have the decency to stop when they should.
Right. So, and then that could even be some of the fault of like the mangaka, right, as well too. I'm just saying that like, if you literally just kept the first 50 episodes of Rurouni Kenshin minus a few filler episodes that are just bad or dumb, like, and I'm generally fine with filler, but like if you basically trimmed it down like a tiny bit, maybe made it like 40 episodes, right, you'd have like a really great show there to work with. And it's like I strongly recommend watching Rurouni Kenshin, but it's always with the caveat of like, you don't need to watch the second half of the show. Like you really don't. It's
yeah, I think that's another one. I watched the arc with the main villain in the anime, the mummy guy, Shishio. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And then I read the manga for the rest, and that was fine. So.
But in terms of the anime itself, like that's all you need to see.
There's nothing. Because I mean, really, that's the bulk of where everything matters.
Right.
The second one is just
Definitely
kind of
not
like,
that.
here's a bonus story.
It's like great, but I'd really like to like have like an emotional conclusion to like the Kenshin and the chick whose name I forget. Like that might be a reason to continue it. But then they make no progress at all in the second half of the show either. It's almost like they
I
almost.
mean,
just
I know in the
forget to
manga they
have
do
the
get
script.
married at the end of it, but
Well, that's great. I'm glad that that's the case. But why didn't the show in the 40 or 50 episodes more?
yeah.
You
It
know,
might have been another victim
I-
of splitting off from the manga. I can't remember.
Yeah, I mean, it could very well be the case. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, many such cases, right?
Yeah, but the issue, and the thing is though, the issue with the new reboot is this is probably based on the reboot manga, so I have no idea
and there's
about any of that.
there's kind of a weird case as well too of like, what's a show that kind of trickled off or kind of diverged from the manga towards the end, and it was worse for it, and it's probably worth redoing from scratch. And I think I hear people saying that maybe like Soul Eater is a good candidate for that because apparently it did follow the manga for a while and then it went its own way or finished early or something like that. But I also find that one hard. I haven't completed Soul Eater. I'm most of the way through it, but it almost is like a poor candidate for redoing because the style is so iconic. I mean, you literally just watch it for the style of the show. Like that's why I would watch
The
it.
spooky core.
Yeah, the spooky core, the Michi core, basically. Michi, if you're listening, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Michi has been trying to get me to read.
You did not rip off Soul Eater. Okay, I'm literally just saying the closest thing that I could say is to your style is Soul Eater. That's all I'm saying.
Go ahead and accuse him of that, because if you accuse Michi of ripping off Soul Eater, he would be thrilled. He would be fine with that. He would probably just say yes.
Yes. Okay, I'm just really kidding. But yeah, like it's the closest inspiration I can find is that. But Soul Eater's like style is like it's just so iconic and captured fairly well in the original that even if it kind of ended like a wet noodle, is it really need? Are you really going to be able to recapture that well without it looking like shit? Or I don't know. It's kind of one of those things where it's maybe just best to just leave it alone, type of thing, and let it be. But I don't know. I don't know what kids watch these days. I don't know what kids care about. So it's not an isekai. So
I don't know. The only Zoomers I interact with on Twitter are usually the ones that don't like stuff that their contemporaries do. So
I don't know anything. I don't know shit.
Damn, that sucks.
Yeah, Rurouni Kenshin.
Awesome.
With the Rurouni Kenshin guy, I think it's Watsuki is his name. Part of me feels like he just owes a lot of people money.
Yeah. Yeah, his legal fees, definitely.
Yeah. Kind of feel like he's probably completely underwater in 5 different ways, and he's just desperately trying to get headway however he can. It's like, he's
like Kaiji.
Yeah.
Instead of gambling, he like has to like
the manga version of Kaiji.
Love its stories. It's just like then they're calling him every day. Keep writing. How's the chapter going?
They lock him in an underground city and tie him to a manga desk.
Yep. Keep drawing. Hurry up.
That whole thing is just unfortunate. I mean, that dude...
Yeah, I don't want to get into it.
Yeah, at this point, that dude should probably just, like, he should go live in, like, a rural area and just be the weird guy that everyone tolerates.
No, he should literally just jump ship on Japan and just, like, move to Brazil or something.
Go to Afghanistan.
I mean, well... he might not last very long there, but... yeah, it's just
more like
it's just like you might as well, like, and it's just like if you owe this many people money, if you're being turned into and you're like basically a mockery of what you were before, and everyone knows that you're a monster and hates you. Like you literally just might as well and it's your fault, by the way. It's like I don't feel sorry for him, but
Yeah,
you might as well just jump ship on the country and just start over where basically no one knows who the fuck you are.
I thought you were gonna say he should
So-
fucking hang himself.
Well, there's plenty of people who would like him to do that. You know, I don't want to go on the record saying anything
Yeah.
about
yeah, that's fair. Totally fair.
suicide here. But like for his personal fortunes, at least, like you might as well just, to be honest, just go somewhere where no one cares. Oh, you're an immigrant from Japan. That's cool. Oh, you're an artist. Cool.
What do you draw? Oh, nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. I'm not one of the most famous artists in the world. Don't accuse me of that.
I mean,
sir.
literally, I draw nothing. I draw nothing now because I literally escaped Japan, so I wouldn't have to draw anything anymore.
Yeah.
I got tired of it.
I got tired of rebooting my beloved characters.
Yeah, you have to imagine it because I'm pretty sure it is the original author doing that.
Yeah,
Yep.
and Danger, to answer your questions, I am not following Kaiji. Everyone says the arc right after the anime cuts off is really ponderous and complicated, and I've just been putting it off.
So it's even worse than the Bog arc.
And well, I think he learns Mahjong, and that's just as complicated as you would expect. And
Yeah, and if you're gonna watch an anime about mahjong, there's also several other options. So
Well,
And
I thought he literally did a manga on Mahjong.
Akagi,
I thought he did.
I think
mean, I haven't.
well, the
literally
Kaiji guy
read it
loves
all.
to Fukumoto loves to revisit old ideas, to his detriment, because Strongest
Clearly.
Man Kurosawa had
Yes,
the
yes,
best
it
ending of all
finished.
time, and then
Yes.
he retconned it years later because he just felt like it.
He's literally his own worst enemy. Hello?
Oh, I'm here. I was just typing something. I was answering a question. Yeah, I feel like a lot of mangaka are their own worst enemy. It's probably a prerequisite for being one.
Yeah, it's like anime. Anime deserves a lot of shit for screwing up mangakas' visions and things like that in the ending. But it's also like, damn, like you guys are like really incompetent as well too. Sometimes,
Yeah.
like you are part of the problem here. It's like you can't finish your damn story, right? Like we have to basically end it for you, type of thing. I mean, literally, like George R. R. Martin is like a mangaka.
yeah,
That's fair.
Ridiculously long-winded story. Like it doesn't necessarily need to be this long, like type of thing, and you can't finish it in time.
I mean, we've talked about it many times, but George R. R. Martin, I do give him some credit because George Martin, he had a very long, very successful career before he got trapped in the cycle of not writing A Song of Ice and Fire. He wrote a lot of short stories when he was younger. He wrote a high concept TV show with Ron Perlman playing, I think it was Ron Perlman playing the Beast in a weird Beauty and the Beast reboot reinterpretation he did. He did a lot of stuff. The one that is easy to make fun of is Rothfuss, because Rothfuss spent 13 years writing one book. It succeeded out of nowhere, and then he spent the rest of his life letting his fame slowly drain away from the prospect of ever actually being a good author.
He's just like me, for real.
I don't quite have nightmares. I go to bed sometimes just being like, don't become Rothfuss, don't become Rothfuss, don't become Rothfuss. Don't stream. Like, don't say, oh no, I failed.
Oh no! I got distracted.
If I ever get more than 10 concurrent viewers, this shit is ending immediately.
Well, look, I think it's fine to continue to stream even after you're successful. You just don't want to make that the only thing you do.
Yeah, like, and I'm obviously shooting on George R. R. Martin here, somewhat unfair. It's like, yeah, like ridiculously hardworking for a while, like ridiculously hardworking. I don't think anyone could take away like what he accomplished up to this point. But
No, people just
really,
make fun of him because his writing style bit him in the ass.
it's literally like a race car that you've been crushing the race. It's like 24 hours of Le Mans, right? You've been crushing the race the whole time. You've got the fastest pit stops. Like you're beating the competition. It's close, but like you're far and away, and then you run it, and then you accidentally put too little gas in your last pit stop, and you run out of gas in the final lap. Like, and then you get disqualified. You don't even finish. It's like, damn. Like I ran for 23 hours and in 50 minutes I was the king, and then it's like, oh, I fucked up my pit stop and like actually ran. I guess like yeah, you know, I mean we raced pretty well for most of it, you know.
The thing that is really nice about Martin, you can completely erase the whole Game of Thrones franchise, and he still would be a perfectly respectable creator. You know, maybe someone who didn't have a great career, but someone who, you know, when he was younger, he sold some books, some people liked him, he made a TV show, you know, it was pretty cool. Like, if he was just your uncle who used to be a professional writer and had never written, if he had quit instead of writing Game of Thrones, if he was your uncle and people shit talked him, you would be defensive. You'd be like, no, he did a lot of stuff. I have dozens of stories he wrote that people love that are on my desk that you can go see. It's just his bad habits bit him in the ass. His tendency to leave things open, his love of ever letting things get bigger and bigger and not having a plan.
Yeah, well, and his self-proclaimed gardening writing style also, where he just kind of like lets things happen as they do and doesn't necessarily have everything planned out.
Yeah, you know, which I admire. It is fucked up to put myself. I'm not putting myself in this position. You're not an author until you have a book, but that's a tendency that I have, and a lot of authors are that way. They like to just see what happens and shake things up. You do have to get it under control at some point, though, which I am learning, and I don't think Martin ever did. Martin just
my only weakness.
He either wrote short stories or he just waited for his TV show to get canceled. Having to actually shut himself down was something he never really learned, I think.
But it's also kind of fitting too, because it's like, you know, by you not finishing it and by the end of Game of Thrones show, like getting fucked, and like it did make you fabulously rich, but it's also like it hurt your legacy. So it's like, I mean, sorry, but like, you know, part of a legacy is following through. You know, and you didn't, and he's never going to finish it. And Game of Thrones ending will always be remembered as like a weak point in it. And he just coasted after that. And I'm like, yeah, I guess if I made $100 billion, right past a certain point of a struggling artist and author, and became reasonably successful, and then became fabulously wealthy and successful and well known, I probably would just collaborate on TV projects for the rest of my life. I'd be like, yeah, you know, pointing out just, you know, sitting back, work a couple hours a day, look over some producer notes, and be like, yeah, you know, I don't like what you're doing with my character here.
I mean, the problem is the fucked up thing. Yeah, the fucked up thing is he just won't admit to himself that that's what he's doing at this point. He keeps, you know, joking about how he doesn't write very much, and he didn't realize.
Yeah, it's like Elon Musk of things being fucked.
Yeah, he made the joke, but he didn't realize it's not a joke anymore.
Yeah.
he's just describing his life in a funny tone of voice. I mean, Rothfuss is in the same position, and when I compare him to Rothfuss, I give Martin credit compared to Rothfuss, because Rothfuss literally wrote like 2 books over a career that's lasted like 25 years.
Yeah.
You know, he spent 13 years writing 1 book. Then he thought he was going to have 2 and 3 out, 1 year each to write them, because he had a lot of it already planned out.
And then his perfectionist tendencies got the better of him.
Yeah, then it took like 4, 5, 6 years somewhere in there to do the second one, and then it's been close to 13 years again for book 3. And Martin didn't do that, at least. Like Martin, because Rothfuss, if you take away his core series, he's done literally nothing else. He's done live streams. If you take away Martin's Song of Ice and Fire, you're still left with a respectable, if mediocre, creator. And Danger said JoJo's the perfect form. Yeah, it is. And Araki gives himself room to maneuver, and he gives himself room where he can just make shit up and it'll be fine. The problem with Martin is Martin made this dense web of interconnected stories that need conclusions or they're going to suck.
Yeah, I was going to say, shonen anime is usually constructed in such a way that it's easy to just fall right by the seat of your pants instead of have this extravagant planned out thing way ahead of time.
Yeah, Araki actually, he just doesn't give a shit. He just does whatever he wants. Araki thrives off making good moments and good scenes, not the connections between them. You know, Martin is not that, much to his detriment. It's unfortunate. I give Martin credit as a writer. He's easy to make fun of, but at the end of the day, when Martin dies, we're still gonna build a big fucking statue of him somewhere.
Yeah, he's gonna get a big statue.
I mean, maybe that was a weird angle. He's still going to be a loved figure, if nothing else. I feel like Rothfuss is going to be mostly made fun of. Like he's just going to
ridiculed, and
he's probably going to be more known as the example of don't do what this guy did.
Yeah, I mean, if these light novel series can have like 4 or 5 volumes a year, I think he can pump out a book in 2 or 3 years.
His books are long.
I think he said he actually wrote the most recent one, whether he's lying or not. He probably is. He wrote the most recent one, but he decided he didn't like it, so he's going to start over from scratch.
Are you saying that about Martin or Rothfuss?
Martin. I could be wrong, but I believe he said that. Where actually, like, he did actually have a complete draft manuscript of the next book, but he didn't like it, so he's starting over. It's like, yeah, I don't believe.
Maybe some people have kept track of Martin's timeline of saying what he has about the books, and they've looked it up and it's like, oh, he wrote a few hundred words during COVID. Then he's been coasting off of that, saying, oh, the book's a quarter done. It's like, yeah, you wrote for 1 year after not writing for many years, and now you're just not writing again, but you keep saying the book is a quarter done because you did that during COVID.
I wonder if the Sailor Moon mangaka's husband, who's writing
Togashi,
yeah, where she was just like, okay, like I'm literally just tired of you complaining about your back, so you're gonna start bringing in some fucking income. Okay.
Wait, is it his back that's a health problem?
I know that that's like a horrible thing to say because he definitely does suffer from like debilitating chronic back pain.
Oh, okay.
As well too, but she's also like, yeah, it's just like you need to stop coasting and like if you really want to like me to start respecting you, get a pillow and here's a pencil and you're gonna start writing.
Danger's making fun of my statue idea. No, it'd be really funny if they made a statue of Martin that was only like 3/4 done.
Yeah, it's just would actually from feet all the way up, and then just like the upper chest and arms and shoulders and head are missing.
They complete all the ugliest parts of his proportions and look. Basically, they get like the belly down to like perfect detail, but they like fuck up like or they leave unfinished like the face and like things like that like as well too. And it's just like, well, you got all the unwelcome angles airtight, and then it's like, yeah, it's close enough.
Yep, they meticulously carve out his gut, but then the left arm is just a square block of stone that has like letters on it.
It's like, damn, my one likable feature, my trustworthy face, you didn't carve out. Damn.
Yeah. The sad part about Togashi is his art's not that good in most places. It really doesn't need to be him drawing it. There's no reason he couldn't just write it or just scream the words and what's happening across the room and let other people do it. And people joke saying like one of the most famous manga artists of all time is standing right next to him and he insists on doing it himself.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
You fool.
But I'm not too hard on him. I mean, Togashi he's basically finished the series like 5 different times. There's so many places it could have ended.
Yeah, so in some ways it's kind of like you are kind of shooting yourself in the foot here too, as well.
Yeah.
At least what's interesting, like he actually realized his mistakes a little bit in Yu Yu Hakusho, because it came around like with a little I've read about him creating it. Like, I think it started to catch up on him, his condition, and they also realized this is going on too fucking long. Like, I just need to wrap this up.
Yeah, because Yu Yu Hakusho, it only has like 3 major arcs, I think.
Yeah, so his last arc is like kind of rushed. It's not a bad arc.
It had several. It starts with random stories of him trying to. Oh, sorry, go.
Yeah, I mean it didn't have like an amazing the first was. It wasn't even an arc. It was just like trying to find his footing of like, well, okay, what is the story is about, and then he has like one of the most legendary arcs. Immediately after that, the Dark Tournament arc, which is so fucking long but really good.
Yeah, I mean it's a bulk of the series.
Yeah, it's a bulk of the series. And then his second arc is fully fleshed out. Not quite as good, still good. Definitely clearly done by the same person and done with a lot of skill, but doesn't hit as hard. And then the third arc is actually like could actually have been like a pretty epic conclusion to it, but it's just kind of rushed. It's still a good arc, but and actually in some ways
it ends in a way that you wouldn't see coming.
Yeah. I mean, and at least he finished the story, like it's done.
But he did, and it's not like it's an unsatisfying conclusion either. So.
Oh, it's definitely a satisfying conclusion. It's just you expected this is something that's probably worthy of like 50 to 70 episodes type of thing, like not this truncated version. But you could tell he just kind of lost patience with it. So and moved on with his life, which to be fair, is not the worst thing in the world. He got it done. So
he did famously release a letter with the final volume saying, "I ended Yu Yu Hakusho because of my own selfishness. Please forgive me." So he was not in the best of spirits when he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess that's better than Tight Kubo. Or I think it's Tite is how you pronounce it.
Where he just got thrown out on his ass and
where Shonen Jump was like, okay, you have 3 weeks to finish Bleach. Go, get it done.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly better than One Piece. I did share the
One Piece. I'm just convinced is Stockholm syndrome, but
meme in 2071 where One Piece ends and then they announce a One Piece Shippuden. Oh no. Here it goes. It's just like I don't could care at this point.
Yeah, I don't really need that in my
I don't
life.
even care how good the writing or the illustrations are at this point where everyone's saying like it's still just as good as it ever was. So everything it's just like I don't care. Just finish it.
Look, you could even tell me that it's infinitely better now than it was when it started. I still don't have any desire.
I don't even know how you just stay that interested in your own story for that long, unless you're like J.R.R. Tolkien.
I have no idea either.
Yay, Luffy!
Yay, Luffy!
Yay, Luffy!
Yeah.
How are you?
The thing there is he's just such a generic shonen protagonist too. How do you enjoy telling a story about just that guy for so long?
He loves that guy.
He's an earnest, scrappy go-getter.
Okay, to be fair, a lot of the newer ones are just copying Luffy, and although Luffy is copying Goku to a degree as well.
Goku. I like Goku's my boy. I like Goku. He's a cool guy.
I can respect Dragon Ball. I never really got into it.
I am actually.
The nice thing about Dragon Ball is
I'm very interested in watching the original Dragon Ball show. Nothing else. Not Z again. Not anything that came after Z. Like just like the original fun Dragon Ball. Where it's just like
there's a spirit of that was definitely lost in the transition to.
Yeah, where it's just this goofy ass, like really colorful, fun show about them as like kids, basically.
Yeah, the One Piece
is the little I know about it.
The One Piece is the friends we made along the way. I think it'll be perfect if the One Piece turns out to be a swimsuit.
That's awesome. The One Piece swimsuit? Yes, that would be fantastic, actually.
I wish I was a billionaire so I could pay him to do that.
It's just like a standard high school Japanese swimsuit.
Oh, now it's even better. It's perfect. Did you guys ever watch Outbreak Company? I don't think you did.
Also, I literally have to go in like 2 minutes.
Okay, that's sorry. Do you want to say any words? I guess I can talk for John.
Any words for the kids?
Yeah, any words for the?
This is the war on terror stream.
Oh right.
Because we opened with some hard-hitting political and cultural analysis for the first hour or so, and now we're talking about how George R.R. Martin can't finish his fucking book in one piece.
Yeah,
it's
all the same problem. It's the war on stream terror.
War on stream. The terror stream. That's actually a good title. Yeah, that's free, by the way. You don't have to pay any royalties for that.
And I'm killing pirates and FTL. It's all coming together.
Hell yeah. So yeah, that's I bid you adieu.
All right.
Good luck.
Enjoy your afternoon, sir.
What is left of it before hell on Monday?
It was cool, man.
Thank
Get your computer back, and we'll play some games or some shit sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Take care, guys.
Take care.
See
ya. Oh, for a minute, I thought you left.
Nope.
Oh, did you ever watch Outbreak Company? I'm about 90% sure you have not.
No, I did not.
Outbreak Company was a goofy little seasonal that was slept on because it wasn't amazing or anything like that, but as a little silly high concept isekai, it was actually pretty good for what it was. It was about it's kind of a parody of Gate, I think, which I also didn't see, but it's
Yeah, I'm vaguely familiar with Gate, but I have not seen it.
yeah, the government discovers a portal to a fantasy world, and as their initial envoy, diplomat guy, they get a super otaku teenager who they send into the fantasy world. He has a nice little mansion. He meets the princess who rules the local kingdom. He has a little elf maid who hangs out and takes care of him, and she's very nice. And he starts running a school for the local fantasy children, and the school is about otaku culture, where they sent him in to train the locals in the ways of the otaku.
Okay.
Later, it is revealed they have a nefarious reason for this because they think it'll just be easier to attack the fantasy world if everyone is an otaku. But it's actually great because he's just giving lessons. He's, drawing diagrams on the board showing, okay, these are the different lengths of the skirt. This is Zeta Ryokai. This is how we're going to do this. We're also going to cover that topic where you don't know if a character is wearing underwear or not. That's very important. But you just reminded me of that because there's a whole sub arc where he's throwing a pool party and the princess, or something with a swimsuit, and the local bratty princess at the castle is trying to come, but she doesn't have a swimsuit because they don't really have them in this world. So her council of elders have this round table where they keep debating with each other about what type of swimsuit would be appropriate for the princess to wear. And there's one guy in the corner who every single round he suggests that she wear the stereotypical black one piece from Japanese anime. And he keeps insisting on it over and over and over again. And they go through all these different rounds and they keep eliminating it for one reason and they keep listing problems with the swimsuits. And then in the end, they look at the options they're left with and they realize the Japanese school swimsuit is the only thing that fits all the criteria. It's actually it's actually a good show. It's not groundbreaking, but it's just a cute little seasonal. It's actually pretty cool. Everyone should watch Outbreak Company. Hello, Owly. I responded to something you said, but hello. Bye. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I could have also called this "Proving I'm Good at FDL" again because people doubt me still. Why does everyone think I'm bad at FDL?
I think you're the only person who thinks people think you're bad.
Yeah, I told Jaws I was good though, and then when we played, he was like, "I don't know if you're that good," and that's unacceptable. I'm the best at FDL, and everyone needs to accept that. Damn it. Okay, that didn't count. What else is up, John? We were talking books. You like books?
Yay, books.
Yay. I talked to one of my IRLs yesterday, and he tried to sell me on a book which it's about an angry lesbian who was in an abusive relationship, and she didn't want to tell anyone because she doesn't want people to know that lesbians sometimes have abusive relationships. Apparently, that's you want to keep up the kayfabe for the neighbors and all that, because then they'll just think, oh, all lesbians are abusive.
There's definitely not memes about that. Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, so she wrote a book where there's like 300 chapters that are all one page and they all have a different gimmick. Like he showed me one is like Trauma House. It was called Trauma House, where every chapter starts with Trauma House. It's like, oh, Trauma House's lipograph, and he had me read it, and I'm like, do you get it? And like, no. And eventually I realized, oh, this chapter doesn't. No words have E in it, and he's like, yeah, that's the gimmick of this chapter. Is she talks about trauma without the letter E. And I just kind of tried to gently shut him down. Like, listen, man, I just don't have the emotional energy it would take to try to read this thing.
Yeah, that's interesting, but I could see that being kind of tedious because you got to read each chapter looking for the thing.
Yeah, they're not all that bad, but I just don't need angry lesbian beat up books in my life.
Look, there's some things where the premise is just gonna turn you off. Like, even it could be the most Shakespearean tier writing, but just knowing that the content is what it is.
Yeah, it's just not something that's going to hook me, really.
Right. Well, it's kind of like the moment you tell somebody Monogatari has a 500-year-old lowly vampire, they're just not going to watch it.
Okay, well, those people aren't supposed to watch it. And, you know,
No,
maybe
they're
I'm not
not,
supposed to
and-
read the angry lesbian book.
Yes, I got filtered by angry lesbians.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'm okay with getting filtered by angry lesbians.
You don't have the emotional energy to watch Outbreak Company either. It doesn't take much emotional energy. But okay, your life is your own. I need to upgrade some stuff.
Upgrade your stuff.
My ship is not in amazing shape. I'm not feeling incredible about this, but we'll see how it goes. Also in one of the shitty systems that has all the clouds. What time is it? Oh, it's only 1:30. That's cool. Yeah. I am reading The Magicians, which Jaws has been. I did start reading it. You know, Jaws told me to read it. He said it was good. I did actually start reading it. It's a frustrating.
And
What?
I was gonna say, and presumably it's good enough for you to keep reading it. But go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh no, that's fine. Yeah, it's good enough for me to keep reading it, I would say. It's actually unfortunate because my copy of The Magicians was the one item that was damaged during the flood.
Oh yeah, I think you mentioned that previously.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know if you did it on stream or not, but yeah, which is like.
It was under my bed, and so the back third of the book, all the pages are wavy and shitty because the water got on it.
Which sucks.
It really does. The Magicians is it's good-ish. It has weird problems. It's kind of like a young adult, more mature, harder-hitting Harry Potter-esque thing, where instead of a really high concept fantasy where kids are going to a wizarding school, it's a more grounded urban fantasy where young geniuses are going to college, but it's a wizarding
But it's
college.
still magic, right?
Yeah, it's just their wizards are real. They're just kind of dicks. There's not that many of them. And if you're really, really, really smart, sometimes they'll offer you a scholarship to Wizarding College, where you can go and be a wizard at college.
So it's not like, oh, we try to keep the fact that magic is a secret from people that don't use it.
No, they do. It's just the stakes are really low. Like they just don't care that much. Like every now and again, someone will learn, but people just kind of shrug and go, "Ah, fuck it. Who's gonna believe them anyway? Who cares?"
Ah, okay.
Actually, a nice world building tip is apparently, and the magic seems kind of old fashioned. Like it's very, I think it's implied that most people could do it if they worked really hard. It's like, arrange your hands. It's like D&D. It's like twist your fingers in this direction, burn a little piece of sheep fat, and say this word, and then a rainbow shows up. It's like, oh, okay. One world building tidbit that was fun was apparently spells end up on the internet pretty often. It's just there's so many fake ones with them that nobody knows what the real ones are. And every now and again, someone will make it happen, but either it's inconsequential or they just erase their memory later and no one cares. I mean, it seems more grounded and realistic in a lot of ways. The main character is a dick, though.
Sometimes that's a good thing.
I don't really like him. He's very snarky.
Okay.
He's a status chaser. He likes to chase status. He's always noticing who the most popular kids at school are, and he's just very fussy and annoying and middle class. I don't despise him. Not the biggest fan of him either, though. It is kind of funny, though. He'll constantly just go into little asides where he describes the breasts of the people around him. There's just a lot of very funny male gaze moments where he'll just say, like, the teacher lifted her arms, and there were balls of sweat on the fabric under her tits, and then he just goes on with the story. It's like, oh, okay.
You're like, I didn't need that, but okay.
Yeah, that's how my life is. Yeah, that's not interesting at all. So John, I don't know, what's up with you? RA left, and all the light has gone from my life. No offense, John.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I understand.
It's just he was driving the conversation. I'm out of ideas.
He was. Well, he was the one that passionately dislikes reboots. Although I do tend to agree, because the biggest problem you have with those is usually, what does this offer versus just going to watch or experience the original. And I guess video games are kind of an exception to that, because it's like, here, let's just get this on modern systems and port it to Steam or something so more people can play it. But
video games are also a troubling example because with a lot of media, it feels like you go, oh no, the old stuff is really, really good. With video games, it often does feel like the old stuff is just bad compared to the new stuff.
it really depends on what you're looking for. I mean, and in some ways, you get people that argue that the old stuff is better, depending on what it is. But it's difficult to even know where to start a conversation about video games and what's good versus old and new.
Yeah, it just
Like,
seems
things were certainly less user-friendly, but
also a weird thing about literature is it tends to go in phases almost, where most of the stuff that's fun to read is more contemporary. But as you go back, you generally can find cool stuff. And the weird thing is, sometimes the farther back you go, the better it gets. Where I don't read, the Odyssey for fun, but I could. I had to read it in college, and it's actually a good story. You can read the Odyssey and
Yeah.
ancient epic poems, and they're actually pretty cool. Then you go forward to novels in the 1700s, and most of them just fucking suck. Then you go forward again, and it's like, oh, yeah, Ernest Hemingway, that's kind of cool. With video games, you don't really have that. You just have a hard start where a lot of people didn't know what they were doing yet, and then suddenly they're really good. Does that make sense at all?
in some ways. But I also have to qualify. What do you mean? What constitutes good?
I don't know.
Because I'm assuming you probably wouldn't go back and play an NES game for fun, right?
Exactly. Oh, I've played a few. Like I played the original Castlevania.
Okay.
Like there's a few that hold up, but there's a lot of stuff from that time that I don't think you would play very much of it. Like it just
No,
seems
I mean,
like very
a
little
lot of
that
it's-
holds up.
It depends, but I guess I see what you mean. Like, I don't go back to those kind of games too often either, but like what about if we jump to Super Nintendo?
I don't know if I know what that is.
Super Nintendo?
No, I mean I'm sure I would recognize it. I'm gonna look it up.
You knew what an NES was. It's just the next system after that.
Wait. I don't think I've ever seen a Super Nintendo.
I find that hard to believe.
I
but...
mean, I've seen the cartridges before. I don't think I've ever seen
there were
one in
multiple
real
versions
life.
of the system, so
Yeah, I mean, I knew NES because I had like an old step grandparent who had one in her basement, and she let us play it.
okay.
So I actually do know the NES to some degree. Yeah, I used to play that thing, but yeah, I've never played a Super Nintendo before.
Okay,
I've probably
so you've never played Super Mario World or
nope.
Super Metroid?
I'm illiterate.
Okay, well,
What do you know?
we'll give you some homework at some point, but I'm not going to put anything else on your plate right now.
No, my plate is so full. Man. Well, okay, that didn't work. Fuck, we should talk about something. Is racism funny?
Sometimes.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna record that. Let's have plans. What do you want to do for another stream? Because I think next weekend, if we can get some people, we are gonna try to do the hidden gems thing.
Okay, I mean that's always a good idea, so that's fine.
Because people have wanted to do that for a while. I had the idea, and everyone agreed it was amazing, but it just didn't happen yet. What do you think you would pick? What would you bring to the hidden gems discussion?
I'll have to give it some more serious thought, but
better think quick.
No, I mean, I don't know. It's a good question. Part of me wants to pick a video game because I know that you're less likely to have played it if I do.
That is allowed.
So I might find something from one of my classic games, and pick that.
We could play SNES.
I mean, there are definitely a few games on that system I feel like I should have you play, because they still hold up pretty well.
Probably could. I also am in a funny position. There was one manga I wanted to share. I can't remember what it's called.
Just because it's that obscure,
Because it's
or...
that. Oh, it's the most obscure. It's so obscure. There's probably only a couple thousand people who ever read the damn thing. It was so fucking. It was funny though, and I kind of want to get Thupa to read it because I think Thupa will probably just accuse the main character of being me, which is amusing.
That's fair.
It's drawn in a strangely realistic style, which kind of takes away from it a little bit. I don't know if it's a great style, but it's about a burned out guy, I think in his 30s, who has been a NEET for like 15 years. And he constantly trains himself trying to develop his abilities, where he kind of thinks he's psychic on some level, and he's like always sharpening his mind to increase his ability to perceive and act on information. And he's like a weirdly confident guy despite having no skills, no connections, no money, no nothing. And he learns that his sister, or he doesn't learn, but he comes to believe that his sister is not getting married because the anxiety and burden of having to worry about him and take care of him and having this weird guy in the house that would make it hard to have a husband. He comes to believe that his presence is impeding his sister getting married, so he decides to leave for the first time and go on an adventure to make his own way in the world, far from his family, so they won't have to worry about him anymore.
Okay.
And antics ensue. Because it's him just meeting other people who are basically homeless and trying to come up with cockamamie schemes to make money together.
I mean, I can see how that might be interesting.
It's good. It's cool that the character moments are so good though. I
mean, character will make or break most stories. So
there's a panel that I can't find that I love so much that I want to make a poster of the panel where the dude gets arrested immediately and he's sitting by a cop and he's slowly explaining all the adventures of his youth and how he used to chase bears in the mountains and he used to give himself punishments where he would make himself stand outside for days or kiss his grandfather if he could not complete one of his little missions he gives himself. And the cop is going, "Okay, sir, I have no idea what you're trying to tell me." And he says, "I'm trying to explain to you that I have an incredible mind." And that's what sold me on the manga. I love this character. Danger said, any historical epic movie recommendations? I always recommend Zulu, but you've probably heard that before. Don't know if I know better.
And I'm not so good for movie recommendations because movies just generally aren't my preferred format of media to engage in.
Movies suck. So do video games.
I don't know that I'd say movies suck. I think I don't know if I mentioned this on stream specifically, but I know I've said it to you before. I just decided to stop watching TV, like Western TV, at a certain point because I was tired of it, and because video games are interactive and require a little bit more of you. In most cases, in other cases they don't, but depending on the game.
Yeah, no, that's exactly how it is and how it should be. I don't watch TV either. I cannot interact with. I just accidentally bought the wrong fucking. I'm so. Did I just fuck myself? God fucking damn it. Okay, that's not the end of the world. It wasn't great, but it's not the end of the world. I just accidentally clicked the wrong thing and I don't have money. Close. Yeah, and Zulu, I don't know if Zulu is like an epic because it happens in one location, but it's a very cool little historical movie, like an action movie. The inspiration for the Battle of Helm's Deep, or at least the choreography.
The cinematic version, yeah.
Yes. Okay, well, now I might have screwed myself, but I might be able to survive.
You can do it!
We will see. Okay, we've got that. Got that. I can't buy electricity. I guess I should just... I wanted that chain laser. God damn it, I'm so fucking dumb. Okay. We're going to keep going. We're going to win. This is an okay run so far. I bet I can win this. Yep. Yeah, what were we saying? Books suck, movies suck. Yeah, but hidden gems. What are you thinking about bringing?
I've got a couple video games I could bring up.
Probably Conker's
Anything?
Bad Fur Day.
You know, I never have actually played that. I was a little too young to buy M-rated games when the Nintendo 64.
Oh, it was
was a thing.
rated M.
Yes.
I bet it's really good.
It's mostly just for the humor in it.
Yeah.
Anything by Vanillaware would be a hidden gem.
Do I know any video games? I don't know if I've ever played one.
And I don't know. See, my definition of what constitutes a hidden gem with video games is also going to be more skewed than yours because you haven't heard of most of the stuff that I probably wouldn't think is that obscure.
Probably true. And it doesn't have to be crazy obscure. It has to be obscure, by the standards of the audience. Where
That's fair. Well, and I don't think Jaws has played a lot of console games, so
I don't think he's ever mentioned them, but also Jaws doesn't talk about video games that much either. He's talked about some.
And Michi talks enough that he probably would know a lot of the few things.
Michi plays games all the time. He pretends to be writing. He's just playing fucking games. Fucking persnickety bitch. Oh, and I destroyed this person. No, I'm gonna kill him. Games. The audience. What audience? That's a good question. So as long as Danger has not heard of the property, it counts as a hidden gem. Danger, don't look up the shit I'm talking about right now. Actually, if you find that manga, tell me the name, but then don't read it. Yeah, that's another question. Should I try to get an audience? Should I try to get more than one person watching? Because then that just brings fame and all the pitfalls that come with it.
Yeah, I guess I won't be too picky about what I say, as long as it basically wasn't a massive AAA game. You're probably.
Oh yeah, I could have done Zulu. Actually, fuck. I don't know if Zulu counts as a hidden gem because older people who really were in the movies will generally know it, but I don't know if younger people know it. Like cinephiles all know Zulu, but casuals definitely don't.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. So, depending on who your audience is, it's going to change the definition substantially of what obscure is, but that's okay.
One that I'm definitely doing is Sumire 16, which I think I've told you about a little bit. It's about the puppet. I posted a little bit about it when I read. Don't look up Sumire 16 because it's an incredible show. Definitely want to go in fresh. It's a movie from the 60s. I don't think most people were there to watch it. Yeah, but it's a movie that was really well respected in the 60s. Like, it's a classic film. I just don't know if it's something that I just don't know. I just don't know. Like, I've definitely brought it up, and a few people I've talked to have known it. It's like, imagine bringing up Jaws 100 years from now, and people are like, "What the fuck is Jaws?" And it's like, well, literally everyone watched it when it came out.
Yeah.
Just hard to know exactly what to do, but we can figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, really any medium is going to be like that. I could mention, 15, 20 years ago, I could talk about any general Super Nintendo game, and most of the people that were into video games at the time would probably know what it was. But you bring something like that up now, and they might be like, "Huh? What are you talking about?"
Yeah, like I just didn't know what Super Nintendo was.
Yeah, we're gonna pretend that didn't happen.
We are.
Yes, because I can't believe you didn't know what a Super Nintendo was.
I mean, I've heard the name.
Okay.
it's not like I was from a place of total
No,
ignorance, just
it
mostly
just shocks me
ignorance.
that you hadn't even ever seen one, but
I mean, I've probably seen a picture of one once. I just don't know what they are really. Oh my fucking god, I'm getting destroyed with bad
well,
luck.
I guess you were what? You were born in 94, 95?
I was born in 93.
93, okay. Well, it came out in 91, so
So, I'm completely justified in not knowing what it is.
I guess, because by the time you were like 5, the Nintendo 64 would have been the current system.
You make a good point. I am an expert in video games. Ooh,
Yeah, but even then, I still know systems that are older than me, like the Atari and the Jaguar, and
good point, good point. I am getting fucking destroyed in FDL right now.
how badly are we talking here?
I mean, things were actually going pretty good a moment ago, but they are currently not going good.
That is currently unfortunate then.
Yes. Oh god, am I fucking god damn it! I rolled a really bad event for my ship build. Okay, these guys are all fucked. I need to fucking get my oxygen back online or I'm gonna fucking die. This is... Okay, go fix the oxygen, you two. If you die, and I accept that. Okay, I did destroy the ship. These guys are probably not going to make it. Okay. Try to live. Try to live. And... Okay. Ooh, okay, these guys did live. Things are sketchy, though. So I got distracted. I'm just very concerned about what's happening on screen.
You're fine.
Okay.
Take all the time you need.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. In terms of audience, though, maybe we should try to get an audience.
Look, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, definitely
sure.
doesn't hurt. Mostly been having people I know show up. Which is probably fine as a core thing, but you probably want more than that. Danger, do you know any people? Gotta start where you know. I don't know. Maybe... I don't know. I think I would need more of a plan in the first place. Just winging it on Sunday and playing FDL is probably not the best plan. It's just like, oh, who wants to watch me play FDL? Nobody? Okay,
no, but
that's fine.
I think having the habit of it is kind of important too, so...
Yeah. I do not know people who would watch you. That's fine. Neither do I, probably. Need to fix my ship. Shit's so fucked up. I do feel pretty good, though. I have a pretty upgraded ship. I can probably win with this ship if I avoid taking too much damage and get some good upgrades. Yeah. I don't know. Probably requires more planning. It is fun because when we get a lot of people in here, people generally will just have a conversation. It's generally pretty fun. Maybe I need to do some show prep. Maybe I need to get some prepackaged
Well,
things.
I mean, look, having a topic ahead of time does help a little bit because we can all kind of think about it a little bit beforehand. So, me knowing, okay, I'm probably going to bring up a couple games on next Sunday if we do the Hidden Gems thing.
Yeah. Okay, here. I have a great plan. This is incredible. I'm going to bring this up. Browse. Yeah. We need... Look at this GIF that I just dropped.
Coffee art.
How fucking hardcore is that?
Super hardcore.
Super hardcore. We should talk about this. John, how do you feel about the cat having its face ripped out?
That's kind of funny. It almost looks like it's begging you not to do it as as you pull the spoon up a
I
little
know.
bit.
We live in a, life really is suffering, isn't it?
Yes.
That's cool.
Life is suffering. Suffering succotash, even.
Boo. I'm gonna say boo every time people say stuff. I think games are good, but you have to play them in an interesting way. Like
yeah, or I mean, look, games are fine as background stuff too while we're having a conversation, just so that there's something for people to look at.
Yeah.
While you're talking about other stuff.
Oh, I didn't even mean this. I meant like. We played party games the other day. That was fun.
Yes, party games are fun.
I don't know. I'm kind of distracted today.
Yeah, well, you had your whole weekend thrown off by having to work some of yesterday, so that's understandable.
Yeah, I wonder what my excuse will be next weekend.
Well, we don't have to go there.
Okay, no we don't. That mind blown is way too big. That's ridiculous. There we go. I need to. Okay, the ship is getting decently strong. We're getting there. Man. Kamikatsu was so good, and no one believes it. I keep telling it wasn't even good, but it was great.
I haven't said I'm not gonna watch it.
I know, but everyone has to watch it. God damn it! It's so important.
Okay.
Yeah.
What made you want to start it to begin with?
I don't know. Oh, actually, I do know.
And what would that be?
Okay. Copy. I actually need the. I need the bring up Firefox and. No, I'm never letting you be my default browser. Quit asking. Yeah, look at this image. What a cool image this is.
Oh, just the cover art for the. Is that manga or a light novel?
That is the light novel, I think. Oh yeah, it definitely stars a light. This has a light novel written all over it. Like no manga artist would ever do this on purpose. But yeah, look at that. There's some cool art. The advertising just looked cool. I thought it was going to be about a cool like religious adventure with the Ainu in medieval Japan or something. And that ended up not being what it was at all. It was just a shitty isekai with a high concept. But it still ended up being pretty likable, even if it wasn't a great story.
Looks like it does not have an official translation yet.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised it has an official anything. It was a really fucking messy show, honestly.
Actually, it looks like it's just a manga.
Oh, really? Oh, that really surprises me. I would not have thought it would have been a manga. It's extremely light novel in its tastes and stuff. That also reminds me, I have things I would like to do. I kind of want to do a stream where I talk to you guys about Thomas Covenant and just get your reactions and such.
Even without us having read it?
Oh yeah, especially without you having read it. I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure. Look, if you think you can talk at length about it, which I know you have because you already have, then yes, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing.
That's okay. You don't have to know what you're doing.
How's the book going? Horrible. Although, I think it might go better because I'm going to see. Okay, I'm turning in the Rothfuss as I speak. Okay, no more streams ever again. I'm canceling the streams. Horrible, but I kind of feel like I'm on the verge of like a life-altering break that will. I have a weird instinct that it will help with the book thing. Uh,
Look, well, like consuming media is part of the creative process.
Maybe. No, I just need to get away from people. I need to avoid relatives and people and stuff. I spend too much time on I think I spend too much time looking for interactions that just aren't that good.
You do hang on, I think I have a good thing for this. You need to rate the quality of the interactions you have with people. Not you don't necessarily have to be as specific as a actual number. I'm trying to remember where I put
Yeah.
this.
I also feel like I need to just leave or something, although I'm not sure where I would go.
Look, a change of scenery can help, but at the same time, don't look to don't act like it is gonna fix anything else that's bothering you.
Probably
Okay, yeah,
just wants to get away from people
here's
so
what I
they
was
quit
looking
annoying
for.
me.
Sorry.
Okay. Is it on Discord?
Yeah, I posted in the general chat.
Yes. Time is a zero-sum activity. Yeah, that's true. I just spend too much time just hanging around in situations where I don't really need to.
I had to learn how to excuse myself early from situations a lot of times because like the meme of the guy just standing there on his own at the party and he's there's always like these people don't know this or whatever. That is often me just hanging around a situation in which I no longer have anything to contribute to a situation and I'm just there because I don't know how to leave.
Yeah, I try to go to things when my relatives tell me they're hanging out in the afternoon or something, and I think I need to just stop or at least massively roll it down.
When I first moved back in with my family, I tried to say yes to most of the hangout time they requested because it's like, okay, cool, I live with you now. I might as well get to see you a little bit more. But then you realize, oh wait, I don't have anything to add to the situation. I'm gonna go back to the basement and work or play video games or read a book or something.
Yeah, it gets fucking annoying because everyone's just standing around in their own little situation. It becomes more and more obvious that you fucking he's like Poco Loco? What the fuck is Poco Loco? I thought he said Porco Rosso for a second. Uh, uh, but what the fuck was I saying? Yeah, it just gets old because you're in a situation, people are talking about stuff that like I don't even have it in my I don't even have the emotional strength to pretend to care. Like I just can't. I am unable to can. Uh, like I simply don't have the emotional energy to pretend to watch stupid reality shows and stuff. It just feels like nothing happens. Like you're just in a room while nothing happens. Someone from Poco
Yes.
Danger, you are right. I should do nothing but read JoJo starting now. If I was wise, that's what I would do. Because everyone says part 7 is the best part, or so many people do. But no, I kind of just feel like it might be counterintuitive, but maybe I need to just isolate for a while, like properly. Just spend more time not having, low quality interactions, but just literally being by myself.
Yeah.
Because that was when I was the most productive by far. It was like earlier last, not this February, but the one before, when I had that blowout with my relatives and I just kind of secluded myself for most of a year. That's when I was most productive, and I kind of feel that way again, so maybe I need to do that. I need to get in a fight with people over Ukraine and then storm off. God damn it,
Oh,
RA
no.
was just here. This is what we need him for. It's, okay, this is interesting. I have fully upgraded weapons. We'll see if it works. Part 7 is the best part. I know Michi was just reading it. He loves it. I've heard so many people say it's great over the years. Michi was trying to sell me on it with the idea, telling me about the guy whose powers he's really lucky and he just shows up to the horse race on foot and he just keeps bumbling his way through the rounds. That sounds pretty cool. Man, there's so much I could do. If we did a stream that I thought was really good, or a podcast that was really good, because I never really tried to promote the podcast that we did. It was kind of
just, really, you just share it on Twitter when we go live, and that's about it.
Yeah, it was just who shared up. Where are there other people who might be interested? In particular, you know what I've been telling you, I've been talking about this for literally like years at this point. I want to do that podcast over Mushoku Tensei, and the second season is just starting. Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should make a podcast on Mushoku Tensei that I care a lot about, and then just, I don't know, see if people want to watch it. Yeah. Why aren't you watching Mushoku Tensei? Danger, are you watching Mushoku Tensei?
Because it's really I saw it finish season 1.
Why aren't you? How did you not watch every episode in one day?
I was watching it with a friend, and then his life exploded, and I was hoping he would get it together so that we could finish it, but he never. Well, I mean, his life is together, but he's too busy now for anime, so.
It's unacceptable, man. It's a once in a lifetime show.
I will go back and finish it. It's just
the
a matter
Eva of the 2000s. Okay, I have 2 pike beams. All right. There we fucking go. Damn, left him with 1 health. It's... Yeah, okay. I know my mission in life is just to get every human to watch Mushoku Tensei. It's all I care about. It's why I was born. But and the new episode of the new season was pretty good. It focuses on characters that are removed from the action or coming back in. But it was pretty alright. Do. I should move to France.
Really?
Yeah.
How come?
Because I've never been there.
It's not the worst reason to move somewhere, I guess.
Yeah. Or Portugal, because I know someone in Portugal, and I've been there before. But what would I do when I got there?
I thought the the point was to find less stuff to do, so that you had time to do writing and.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. So I don't need to move to Portugal. I can just sit in my house. It's all coming together. Man. John, do you believe I'm good at this game yet?
I never thought you weren't.
Okay, but I need someone to tell. I need someone to tell everyone else.
I think this is mostly in your head.
Okay, no, it's fine.
Other than Thupa, but he's just gonna give you shit no matter what.
He is. Well, I'm kind of running out of ideas. I'm just trying to play FTL now.
That's okay.
I think we said that this was probably going to be shorter anyways, didn't we?
Yeah, well, because RA had to go early, and we didn't have any specific topic in mind. We were just trying to stream for the sake of keeping your streams consistent.
Oh, yeah,
which we did, and we had a decent conversation about.
Yeah, RA came in
around reboots,
talking around about Arabs and shit. RA
Which is
usually
fine.
acts all coy about certain topics. Then he just comes in and is like, the military-industrial complex. I have opinions about that.
Yeah. Well, of the three of us, he was the one closest to it, so.
It's a fucking madhouse around here, I tell you. Yeah.
Especially by Anthrax.
Yeah, it was fun. Was that a reference?
Anthrax is the name of a band, and they have a song called Madhouse.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
I think it's called Madhouse.
Yeah. One time it was funny. I was working in an actual madhouse, and everyone was acting. There was just a huge incident in the middle of the night, and by morning, just half the people in there were just like screaming and beating on their doors and like acting like orangutans and shit. And it was just a very bad night at work. And then when the boss came in the morning, I actually said to him, it's like, oh, man, he asked, like, how bad was it? I'm like, oh, you have no idea. It was like a madhouse in here. And then I realized.
Wait a minute.
It literally is a madhouse.
You're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, and it was funny because everyone around me just kind of looked at me at the same time. It was like, Green, I don't know if that was the best way to put that. Life is silly.
Life is silly. That's okay.
I have upgraded shields, which would make Thupa happy because he complained last time that I wasn't upgrading my shields. Oh. Damn, I'm actually probably gonna win this time, I think. I don't 100% know, but this is going well. Well, Danger, if you want to leave a comment because you have ideas, feel free. But I think he actually just left because I'm upset I was about to go. Okay. Well, you know what, John? From now on, I'm going to think of things more.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to have more of a plan.
I mean, it's never bad to have a plan.
No.
Things won't always go according to plan, but that's okay.
It is. It is cool that we have at least one guy that occasionally watches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Danger, we do appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes.
If you're still here.
Very nice, man. I don't think he is, but it was nice of him. I am going to stop streaming in 3 seconds.
Goodbye, everybody. If you're